Hello everyone, welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. On today's episode, we're working with this stock image right here. Now, I linked it in the description below so you can download it and follow along with me. It's a great way to learn. We start out here, and I have the artistic hat on today. I donned it so it gives me that muse, I get the muse when I put this hat on. Just kidding, but anyway. We start out here and we end up here. We're using a lot of different software. We're using Topaz Studio 2. We're using Topaz Adjust AI, Denoise AI. We're using Luminar 4. We're using the NIK Collection. We're using Photoshop, obviously. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to learn a lot today. So without any further ado, let's get started. We're starting out here in Photoshop. I went ahead and duplicated the background layer. Let's zoom in. This image is really noisy. Really cool image, but super noisy. So let's go ahead and denoise this. So we're going to go up and launch Topaz Denoise AI. And here's Topaz Denoise AI. Now I'm in the auto detect settings and you can see we have some noise around the bird right here. Let's try the new low light mode. Let's click that on and see if there's a change. Yeah, and look at the difference there. It got rid of that noise. I think I may remove that noise a little bit more. Remember, this is a stock image, so it's not a camera raw image, but I think that looks really good. And we're just going to go ahead and apply that and we'll be back in Photoshop. Let's go ahead and zoom into this image and take a look here. Here is the before, so we see all that noise, and here's the after. So we cleaned up that noise and that's looking a lot better. It's a good starting place anyway to get rid of all that noise in there. I went ahead and duplicated the background layer and called it Adjust AI. Now we're going to launch Adjust AI and see what kind of results we can get from that. I don't really know where this image is going today. I'm just trying to take it one step at a time. I normally pre-plan my videos out, but this time I'm going to try something different and just see where this image takes us. So we're going to experiment here. Let's try the HDR style and see what kind of effect we can get with that. And I'm thinking I might want to go more of a painterly type effect today. And that looks pretty cool. Let's try standard. That's not bad either. Let's go back to HDR style. Kind of like the effect I'm getting here. Here's the before and here's the after. Maybe I'll open up the shadows a decent amount. Yeah, so we can really see our fisherman in this boat. I love this fisherman in the boat here. So I'm going to open those shadows up. And let's see what else. Maybe let's play with some split toning. Maybe add a little bit of warmth to the highlights. Yeah, something like that. That looks pretty cool. Here's the before and here's the after. We're experimenting. Let's go ahead and accept that. Let's keep experimenting. I'm going to launch the NIK Collection Color Effects Pro 4. I'm thinking on trying one of the nostalgic films inside of here. Oh, and right there, that one looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the presets on here. Because I am on nostalgic film, so we have soft purple. Let's try some of these. Warm contrasts. I kind of like that one. Here's soft, warm colors. A little more dreamy looking. Warm turquoise. Interesting. So it's a cross between soft, warm colors and warm contrasts. I think I'm going to use this one because it doesn't block up my shadows too bad. Now, if we use warm contrast and our shadows were getting blocked up down in here, we could take this shadow slider here and we could drag it to the right and see we can open up the shadows a little bit. In fact, I might do it. I might just something like that. That looks pretty cool. So here's the before and here's the after. And I like the dreamy look I'm getting here. And let's experiment. Let's go for it. Let's play with the opacity. Let's pull it off and let's start to build it up slowly and see if there's a point that we really think it looks best. That's full, which I don't mind it. And I might just back it off a little bit right around here. So here's the before and here's the after. This image is looking really mystical to me and I like the glow on it, but let's add a little bit more glow to it. So to do that, what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer. I'm going to go ahead and launch Skylum Luminar 4. And I think what we'll do here is try the mystical filter inside of Luminar 4. So the mystical filter is found inside of the creative tab here, mystical, and let's pull up the amount. And it gives you that nice dreamy glowy look. Now that's over the top, but here's a little trick. Come to edit mask and click on luminosity mask And now it's only going to apply it to the highlights of the image. So it tames it down a little bit with that luminosity mask. And let's see, how much do we want? Maybe something like that. Here's the before and here's the after. So it's just adding a little bit more dreaminess to it. I'm going to go ahead and apply it. Next up, I think a visit to Topaz Studio 2. You know, I'm always using that. I love that. It's my creative toolbox. I went ahead and duplicated the background layer and called it TS2 for Topaz Studio 2. And now we'll go ahead and launch it. I'm going to try a filter I normally don't use, and I'm going to click on Add Filter and try this smudge filter here. Let's take its strength and pull it up. This is a really fun little filter. It can give you some really cool artistic effects. I like to see what's happening back in here. It looks really nice. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to take it up a good bit. Something like that. And let's take the extent and pull this extent back. Something like that. Now here's the before and here's the after. But look at these trees back here. Isn't that cool? And I like these guys in the boat back here. Fisherman looks pretty cool. I might end up masking some of the effect off the fisherman, but we're going to play around a little bit more. So right there is looking pretty good to me. I really like the smudge effect. It looks really cool. Let's zoom in here so you can see what it's kind of doing. Isn't that neat? But I think I want to bring back a little more detail to this image. And to do that, I'm going to use a filter that I use a lot. If you've watched my videos in the past, you see me use this a lot, precision contrast. And what I think I'll do in this is pull the micro up. And that's going to bring some details out. Maybe somewhere like there. You see that? Here's the before. And here's the after. So that's kind of fun. And then I always like to maybe combine that generally with the precision detail filter. Now I'm going to be careful what I use here. Now we have overall shadows and highlights. I'm going to work with, I think, the small and medium. What I'll do is start to pull the medium up. I'm not going to go too crazy here. Maybe somewhere right around there. I think next up we'll work with some medium detail. Because now that I brought this extra detail up in here, which looks nice, I'm going to pull the overall medium detail. I'm going to pull it back. Just to bring some more of that softness back in here. And we'll see what kind of result we get. Something like that. Now, let me click on the eye here. So here's the before and here's the after. So I like the extra detail. Now what I think I might do is come back to the smudge filter. And let's go and put a layer mask on here. Let's get a brush tool. And let's take our transparency up to somewhere around here. I just want to take a little bit off my little fisherman here. Well, he's probably not a little fisherman, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to make my brush smaller, and I'm going to leave the edge wear on. The softness is at 50. Let's take it off his face here. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that cool? Let's maybe take it off the hand right here. Ooh, yeah, that looks nice. Maybe I'll take it off right in here as well. Kind of fun. Yeah, that looks good, I think. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so we can see. Yeah, that looks fun. I like that. We've come from here and now we've gone to here. Well, where do we go to next? Man, I'm really thinking, what do I want to try next? I think I'll try the impression filter. And what I'm going to do here is take the brush size and take it the whole way off. Because I really don't want to see much of a painterly effect. Now, I know that looks horrible right now. So what I'm going to do is come down to texture down here. And at the very bottom, you'll see background type, solid and original. I'm going to click on original. And voila, it's back. And it's a lot softer. I'm not really using the impression filter to add a painterly effect, but mainly just to soften it up a bit. And the other thing I want to do is take its paint opacity and take the paint opacity the whole way off, like that. And then I'm going to come down to the texture again. And there's a texture I want to use in here, and it's called Plaster 1. And let's see if we can find it right here, Plaster 1. Now let's go ahead and pull up the texture strength. See that? I think it looks really nice with this picture. I like these lines coming through here. I want a good bit of it in there. Maybe something like that. And then the size of it, let's increase the size. Yeah, let's go ahead and increase the size. For this image, I think that really works well with it. And now let's think about maybe adding a texture over top of this. Let's add the texture filter. And there's a filter in here that I'm thinking of using, and that is called Halo Wall. So I'm going to click on the little magnifying glass and type Halo Wall and see if we can find it right here. So let's click on that. Now that's way too much. And I want to change the blend mode, I think, to soft light. Let's do that first. So let's change it to soft light. Yeah, and already that's looking better. Let's also take the opacity. Let's pull it up just a little bit. And then we could come and play around with some other controls in here if we want to, like saturation. If it's too saturated, we could take the saturation filter and pull it back. Let's take it the whole way off. That's without any, because there's a bit of a yellow warm tone in here, which I think works with this image. So I might just go ahead and leave that up. Something like that. Now let's click this eye right here. So here's the before and here's the after. Here's what it looked like starting out coming from Photoshop, and after Topaz Studio 2 it looks like this. And I like it. It's very painterly. I like the texture on there. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead and click accept and we'll send it right back into Photoshop. Now I'm just examining the image just to see if there's anything I need to correct. And the only thing I can really see these white spots right up here in the sky. Let's get rid of that. To do that, what we'll do is get a blank pixel layer, change the blend mode from normal to color. And I'm going to get a brush, and my opacity is 100%, my flow is at 100%. I'm going to sample this color right close to the white spots and then just paint over that. In the color blend mode, it'll just paint that white away and add that color to it. I went ahead and renamed this layer to Repair Sky to keep things tidy. And now I'm going to use this Tony Kuiper action. It just stamps all your layers together, or you could use Shift Option Command or Control E to do it. Same thing. But this action gets it done real quick. And the last thing I want to do is add a bit of a border to it. And I'm going to use NIK software to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Color Efex Pro 4. Check out all the filters you get inside of the Color Efex Pro 4 program. I'm looking for the image borders, which is right here, so I'm going to click on that. It defaults at type 1. Now if you click on this drop down, you can see you have all these different types of borders that you can pick from. There's some really cool ones. There's one here that I really like, and that is this guy right here. And I think it looks kind of cool in this image, but I'm going to go with type 1, I think. I'm going to be a little more conservative today. Now I'm going to take its size and pull its size in a little bit. I think it's a little bit too much border on there. Let me just pull it in a little, maybe somewhere right around there. Then you have this spread. If you move this to the right, you see the black border here getting wider. Or if you move it to the left, it gets more narrow. So I'm just going to pull it in, give it a lot less of that black on the edge there. Now you could come here and click Vary Border, and it'll change it, which is kind of nice too. So you can get different looks by clicking Vary Border, and there's a bunch of different variations that you can choose from. And then you have this clean right here. If you move it to the right, it'll make the edge more rough. If you move it more to the left, it'll clean it up. So if I take it the whole way in, it gets real clean. And I think that looks good right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And there's our border. I think it's a nice addition. Now let's see where this image came from. We started out here. Remember, this was a stock image right here. Had a lot of noise in it, but I really liked the image. It was really cool. We denoised it with Denoise AI. We sent it into Topaz Adjust AI, gave it a little bit of a HDR look. Sent it into Color Efex Pro 4, added the nostalgic filter to it. Went into Luminar 4, added a mystical filter, sent it into Topaz Studio 2, my creative toolbox, did some more painterly effects, smudging, impression filter. We repaired the sky, and then we sent it back into NIK software and added a border. And now we look like this. So I really like our results here. My workflow is after my image is done, I will just right click on the top layer here and click flatten and flatten my image, and then I'd save it out. If I wasn't done with it, I would go ahead and save it with all the layers intact, and then I'd come back to it later, finish it off, and then I would do the same thing. I'd flatten the image and save it. So that's my workflow. I don't use smart filters or anything like that because it gets a little slow for me when you start using a bunch of smart filters and stuff. And I just make my determinations and I stick with it. But that's my workflow. Some people like smart filters and they're great. But for me, this is my workflow, and everybody has their own way of doing things. Well, there it is. I hope you enjoyed this one today. This is a cool image, you know. And don't forget, I'm linking it in the description below so you can download it and try this out for yourself. It's a lot of fun, you know, making these photo artistic pieces. I really enjoy them. If you enjoyed this video today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you will be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time, but until then, happy editing.